the recording. Leslie, can you start the recording?
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. Mayor Brendan Magnan here. I'd like to call to order the regular inland wetlands meeting for March 16th, 2022. Lisa, could you please call the roll?
Ranjit Bahav. Daniel Bedecker.
Here.
Jim Connors.
Here.
Matthew Connors.
Here.
Dave DeFlameri. Heather Donaldson Gladue.
Here.
Steve Munson.
Here.
Jerry Panico.
Here.
Lisa Tryon. Brendan Magnan.
Here. Thank you, Lisa. Matthew Connors, could you please serve as voting alternate this evening?
Yes.
And at this time, I'd like to invite everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. You could display the flag. I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
America.
United States of America.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For all.
Thank you, everybody. Next up on the agenda is the section for public comments limited to topics not otherwise on the agenda. Is there anyone here from the public that wishes to speak on topics not otherwise on the agenda? Hearing none, move on to item D, new business. Mary Rose, could you introduce IWPA 220010?
Sure, I'm going to just call that up so you can look at it while I'm speaking. This is a request for a sunroom, deck, and access stairs with work within 50 feet of a wetland in the South Central Shoreline Watershed. I visited the property on February 16th and met with Mr. Seberg, the property owner. My sidewalk memo was in the documents tab. The proposed addition is within 55 feet of the wetland line. They are proposing silt fence about 30 feet off of the wetland line to prevent any intrusion of soil into the wetland while they're putting on the addition. The applicant is proposing stormwater infiltration similar to what is on the existing house for the addition. He'll be putting in stormwater galleys. Currently, the yard is grassed approximately to the wetland line and is stable. The applicant and contractor are aware that no excavated material from the addition may be placed in the wetland area without additional permitting. This house was permitted by the agency in 2002. At that time, it had a silt fence, a split rail fence proposed along the access drive. This is a rear lot. It had a split rail fence proposed about mid-yard. Mr. Seberg stated that when he took possession of the property, this fence wasn't there. The grassed area goes roughly to the wetland line. When he got there, there was some split rail fence here on the curve of the driveway that was rotted and falling over it, and he has since removed that. So the proposal is for a sunroom in this deck area, a deck off of that, and then access stairs, as you can see from this picture here. The yard area is stable, and just whoever that is in. The yard area is stable, as you can see from the photos. And it's basically a play yard down to the wetland area. So Mr. Seberg works evenings. He was going to try to make it tonight, but apparently he was not unable to. And I advised him that the agency may have more questions about this work, but if it was done before he purchased the property, there's not much he can tell us about it.
So Mary Rose, this evening we can ask questions. We can, well, we can't ask questions unless they're questions directed to you.
Yeah.
Take no action, request additional information, require a full application, approve the pre-application or deny the pre-application. Is that correct?
That is correct. The site is stable. You can see this is where this deck is now is where they want to put the sunroom. Then there'd be a deck off of that, and then, you know, access stairs over here. This open space behind them is East Shore Middle School. This is standing between the school and the house, so the deck ends here. The new sunroom would be there. The new deck would be here. The new stairs would be here. And this is just looking at the area proposed for construction. This is their backyard. It's a rear lot, so it kind of has a couple of backyards. The school system has been taken down. There's been some dead and fallen trees with the storm, so the school system's been working on that.
Mary Rose, what is your recommendation on this application, or I should say on this pre-application?
Pre-application, it seems fairly straightforward. The work is, if I can get back to the map, the work is 55 feet away from the wetland line. This area is stable. It's not vegetated like it was here back in 2002, but the site is stable. It's not eroding.
What is the agency's wish? Anybody?
Mary Rose, do you feel it's worth just approving the pre-application?
I believe they can construct this without causing any additional or any damage to the wetlands. You know, it's a homeowner applying for use and enjoyment of their property, which is allowable as a pre-application jurisdiction ruling under Section 4.
I'd support that approach.
I support that too. Okay.
Mr. Munson?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman. I would just note that back in 2002, and this was probably done maybe when I had just come on, so I don't remember it, but the fact that the split rail fence has been rotted, I don't believe back then we were asking people to put in vinyl fences. We have since kind of done that on a number of occasions. Just making that point. Also, I have a question for Mary Rose. Has there been any intrusion on the wetlands from their property? Is the lawn stable and all, but they have protected the wetlands pretty well, I assume?
The wetlands seem to be intact. The flags are long gone from 2002. I didn't have a survey. Survey wasn't submitted, and I'm not a surveyor. So eyeballing this distance, it looks like whomever filled about, you know, just above the wetland area. It doesn't appear that they've intruded into it. They've lost the buffer, but there's no intrusion into it. I think from the photos, you may be able, I don't know that I put a picture up close in here. No, I didn't. You can see from here, this is a brackish marsh. This is still fresh water, but in a heavy storm, you will get tidal influence in here. We get water that comes in underneath Melba Street and comes up into a tidal pond that goes into a freshwater pond, and you will get some flush in here. So this area is a portion of his yard, and now a portion of the proposed sunroom will be in a flood zone that comes in here. So getting additional plantings to grow in here is difficult depending on how much salt you get in any given year. The area, the site seems stable.
Mr. Bedeker?
So I just want to interrupt here. I'm losing a battery on this one device. I'm going to switch over to another one that looks like it will join me to the video. If someone will let me in, I'll close out of this one.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. It hasn't come through yet, Dan.
Okay, let me send it.
Do we have a motion for moving forward on this?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion I think I'll wait for Commissioner Bedecker to get back on here.
There he is.
He's here.
He's there. Mr. Chairman, I move that the designated agent issue a jurisdictional ruling for pre-application IWPA 22-0010 177 Seabreeze Avenue for a second-story sunroom and deck addition and access stairs as shown on the undated, unsigned sketch in the file and drawings entitled 177 Seabreeze Avenue, Milford, Connecticut, addition/renovation by JMR Architectural Design Consultants, LLC. This action will not have an impact or effect on the physical characteristics of the adjacent wetlands and watercourses. That is my motion.
Motion has been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Connors, Mr. Matthew Connors. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstains? Okay, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mayor Rose. Next up is IWPA 220018. Can you introduce this one, Mary Rose?
This is this one. This is a proposal for a 15-foot round above ground pool within 39 feet of the wetland line in the South Central Shoreline Watershed. I visited this site yesterday, and my site walk notes are attached in the documents. The house was permitted by the agency in 1989, and currently the yard is grassed and stable. The homeowner is aware that material excavated for the pool may not be placed in the wetland without additional permitting. So as you look at this photo, the street is to my back. The property line is roughly back behind the shed. The wetland line is about, from the site plan, you can see the wetland line just nicks the end of the property line. And then there's wetlands on property of others to the rear of Mrs. Elderman's property. So right now we're proposing this 15-foot round above ground pool. In the future, they are proposing to come back for a deck extension for that pool. Let's see, and this picture is standing over here by this garage, looking out in this direction. The edge of the pool would probably end somewhere roughly around here, with the wetlands back in here. There's been some invasive species. When I was out, I think I was on this site in 2020 when they were discussing a pool, and there was some invasive species and a couple of trees that had fallen over that were hazardous that they and the neighboring property owner took care of. And this is standing back in front of the shed, looking up back at the yard. Again, the pool would be up here. Future deck would be here. And that's what I have. Mrs. Edmond is here this evening. If you'd have any questions or if she would like to speak regarding the pool they'd like to have for their family.
Yeah, hi, Mrs. Edmond. If you'd like to say your name for the record and add anything to the record, that's fine.
Yeah, so good evening. This is Monica Edmond, and we are requesting consideration for a 15-foot round above ground pool on our property.
Thank you. Questions for the applicant?
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Mayor Rose?
Yeah, I had a question in regards to because I think this is my first above ground pool. Do we have any concerns in terms of like a storm event? If something like a tree comes down, collapses inside the pool, would that significantly damage the wetland in any way that we need to be worried about? Or is that just kind of something that dissipates?
I think that's a kind of a one-off. Hopefully that doesn't happen. And it should dissipate. The state doesn't allow discharge of pool water is considered wastewater because people swim or bathe in it. So all our applicants are informed that they can't backwash or discharge their pool to just the yard or the wetland. It can't go in our catch basins. I'm sorry, it can just go across their grass because then the chlorine and such is taken up in the sun. So I don't know that a one-off pool versus tree would have a very significant damage to the wetlands, considering it was probably being a rainstorm, so you'd have some dilution of the chlorine that's in the water.
Well, I was just curious. Thank you.
And the trees that were on the property that may have posed that problem, we did have taken down just for that reason.
They were already damaged.
They were already damaged, so.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bedeker?
Hi, Commissioner Daniel Bedeker, Milford. Hi, Mr. Edmund. I noticed it looks like there's a pool right next door to the,
There is.
would that be about the same structure, size, et cetera?
So yes, it's the same pool, but it's smaller. It's 15 feet, and I believe our neighbors had installed an 18-foot pool.
I'm sorry, yours is 15, theirs is 18.
Correct.
Right.
So
So
ours
would they-
is smaller.
So they'd be basically the same equal distance as your
Correct.
pool as their pool is from the wetlands. Okay, have they ever had any problems with their pool or?
No, and we actually have a little bit more lawn space from where their pool ends to where the wetlands begins on their property.
Because it's an angle. Oops, sorry, wrong map. There we go. See, the angle comes up like this. I believe their pool, well, their pool ends roughly here.
Okay.
And here.
Very good,
That,
thank you.
that pool permit was issued during COVID. If I'm not mistaken, they were one of the first people to get the pool.
Is anybody on the commission inclined to make a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. Mr. Chairman, I move that the designated agent issue a jurisdictional ruling for pre-application IWPA 22-0018, 45 Brewster Road for the installation of a 15-foot round above-ground pool, and as shown on the sketch in the file, on drawing in the file, this action will not have an impact or effect on the physical characteristics of the adjacent wetlands and watercourses. That is my motion.
And I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
That was a motion in favor, Heather.
Yes, favor, aye.
Okay, thank you. Any opposed? Any abstains? Motion carries unanimously. Good luck in your construction or your installation.
Thank you. We have a new grandson. We want him to splash around this summer. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Sure,
Thank you.
for coming before us. Next up on the agenda is D3. Mary Rose, do you want to introduce this one?
Sure, let me get the share up so you can see it while we're going.
Theme here. That time of year.
It is. This is a proposal for a 18 by 36 in-ground pool at 25 Randy Road with patio surround and landscaping within 88 feet of a wetland in the Indian River watershed. I met Mr. Salinas and Del Rodriguez of Del Pools on site on March 7th to review their proposal, and my sidewalk notes from yesterday were in the documents. The site has a conservation easement along the rear of the property and sewer easements along the side and rear of the property. Stubby Plain Brook is located further back on the property, which is evident in this plan. The applicant is proposing to move. They have an on-site stormwater system from when this home was built and permitted by this agency back in 2006. They're going to move that on-site stormwater system over here to make way for the pool and the patio area. The As you saw from the photos, the yard is currently grassed and stable to the conservation easement, which remains in its natural state. Homeowner and the pool operator is aware that material excavated through pool and patio may not be placed in the wetland or upland review area without additional permitting. And Mr. Rodriguez is here this evening to answer any questions. From these photos, he was nice enough to stake the furthest extent of the pool area. You can see the existing patio, existing deck, edge pool. This is me standing on the conservation easement, again, edge of pool. A little hard to see, but it's there. The infiltration galleys are here now. They will move over here behind the deck. And this is a side view. You can see there's a minor grade change, about 2 feet across the whole lot. And the pool will be surrounded by landscaping and a retaining wall to maintain that.
Any questions for the applicant?
Nope.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I think I would move to approve a pre-application.
Do we have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. I think the plantings will do the job as far as any runoff or any additional runoff from because of loss of impervious surface. Mr. Chairman, I move that the designated agent issue a jurisdictional ruling for pre-application IWPA 22-0022, 25 Randy Road for the installation of an 18 by 36 in-ground pool with patio surround and landscaping, including relocation of the stormwater galleys as shown on the plans entitled Site Plan Salinas Residence 25 Randy Road, Milford, Connecticut by Torreson Stone and Garden, one sheet dated 11/05/21, revised 3/08/22. This action will not have an impact or effect on the physical characteristics of the adjacent wetlands and watercourses. That is my motion.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
And it's been seconded. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstains? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale.
Mary Rose, do you want to introduce the next item? I believe it's IWPA 22023.
This is 500 Anderson Avenue. It's a proposal for a 24 by 24 accessory building with a 12 by 24 porch within 100 feet of, within the 100-foot upland review area, South Central Shoreline Watershed. The accessory building is proposed approximately 46 feet away from the wetland line on this property and within 33 feet of the wetland line on the adjacent property. I visited the site yesterday. My sidewalk notes are attached and in the documents. This house was permitted by the agency in 2004 and had a split rail fence requirement with boundary markers beyond between the fence and the wetland line. Both are still on site. Currently, the yard is grassed and stable. The area behind the fencing is in its natural state. The wetland line is located 15 to 20 feet behind the split rail fencing on the site. Contractor is aware that the material excavated for the footings may not be placed in the wetland without additional permitting. The contractor had a pin in the ground, which is very difficult to see, but this is approximately the corner of the accessory building from here. Again, this is where it would be located, just off the patio.
Mhm.
And
Driveway, Mayor.
right, driveway, sorry.
Okay.
And There's a wetland marker still in place on a down tree, but it's in the right direction. So that tree's been down for a while. And we have a site plan. It's a rear lot. This is the driveway with concrete pavers. And this is the proposed structure in blue with a porch attached. Burke's Pond is behind it. We are well away from Burke's Pond, and we don't have any concerns with that. We're about 15 feet off of the split rail fencing here. And then you've got another, I think I said another 15 feet or more here to this wetland line. If you go to a wetland on the property, it's about 46 feet. Jeff Adelino is the builder for this project and is here if you have any questions.
Good evening,
Good evening, Mr. Adelino. Just want to say your name for the record.
Jeff Adelino, 136 Research Drive, Unit J, Milford, Connecticut.
Great, thanks. Anything further to add?
No, I think Mary Rose did a pretty good job. We actually built this house originally. And the gentleman who owns the house now is looking to expand a little bit, get a little more storage area, and just kind of a little hangout area that it can hang out with, that porch and stuff like that, to take advantage of the views of the pond and stuff like that. So nothing
Great.
really.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Any concerns or questions from the commissioners? If none, we have a motion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. I move that the designated agent issue a jurisdictional ruling for pre-application IWPA 22-0023, 500 Anderson Avenue for the construction of a 24 by 24 accessory building with a 12-foot by 24-foot porch as shown on the plan entitled Boundary Survey prepared for 500 Anderson Avenue, Milford, Connecticut by Paul J. Stowell. One sheet dated 10/18/21, revised 3/16/22. This action will not have an impact or effect on the physical characteristics of the adjacent wetlands and water courses. That is my motion.
Second,
Motion has been made and seconded. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstains? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Adelino. Good luck with the project.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Next up on the agenda, D5. Mary Rose, can you introduce IWA 22021?
Okay, this is a proposal for a renovation and reconstruction of an existing building for a deli with work within 150 feet of wetlands in the Wepwag River watershed. Property owner and his contractor had started work on this building without city permits in the fall and are now working to get permitted to construct on the site. A portion of the building was removed and is now replaced. Gravel parking area and grassed area adjacent to the wetland are stable. Applicant's consultants are working with the health department on abandonment options for the on-site septic system. Doug Rich of Fuller Engineering is here this evening. My report was added to the file today, and I believe we have, this is the soil scientist report. Alexandra Mock identified the wetlands on site. They're associated with Flax Mill Brook. We've got the wetland line here and the brook over here. The deli is here at number 883. This is the gravel parking area, and then there's kind of a informal parking back here. We go through the Fuller report, I think. Sorry for the whiplash. And wrong, apologize. There it is. Okay, these are photos from last fall when we were on site. You may remember Pickles Deli. It was a little red deli out kind of across from Eisenhower Park. And the building was in disrepair and they started reconstructing. Our concerns are back in here. The wetlands are back here. We've got the edge of the gravel parking lot, as you saw in Miss Mark's graphic, and wetlands beyond. Standing in this photo on the bottom, I'm standing out here behind next to the fence to get a look at, a stabilized grass area and a parking lot area. Site plan. I can defer to Mr. Rich to speak to a site plan, but this shows the building. This is that parking area we saw in the photo and in Ms. Mock's photo. There's the wetland line and the various fencings and sheds. A proposed stormwater system for the new building. Proposed oil water separator to now hook us into a sanitary sewer line, a lateral that was left. The septic chamber, I believe, is here. The leaching fields are in an unknown position, and the well, I don't see where the well is on the plan.
Mr. Reach, do you want to add anything to the record?
Sure. For the record, my name is Douglas Rich, landscape architect with Fuller Engineering and Land Surveying. Our office is at 525 John Street in Bridgeport. Mary Rose, I think she hit everything on the head. The existing well, however, is back. If you can maybe zoom in on the wetland limit line in the back, it's right on the line itself. It's an old well. Although it's been functioning perfectly normally, it has the water capacity at the moment. We have no intentions of, well, let me back up a little bit here. When we first were brought in on the project, obviously there was a cease and desist on the site work. We were directed and tried very hard not to do very little impact to the upland review area. So consequently, we are not proposing a new water line. As a matter of fact, I don't believe there is a water line in front of the property. When we contacted the Regional Water Authority, they indicated as such. So our new proposal, as Mary Rose indicated, is number one, we'd like to abandon the septic system in a way that's the least disruptive to the upland review area. There's a number of ways we can do that. The common way is to crush the existing tank itself and then backfill, or a lease, or even more or less invasive way of doing it is just to simply fill it with an approved filling material such as gravel or crushed stone. Either one, I believe, is acceptable to the health department. I'm not sure whether the health department reached out to you, Mary Rose, if today, because I asked them to, but I'm not sure if they did.
No, I didn't get it. I didn't get a call from health today.
Okay. Either way, it's acceptable to us. I just preferred to keep as much disruption in the upland review area to as little as possible. The most disruption that we're proposing is the level spreader off of the stormwater system that's to the south of the new building. Now that stormwater system mitigates the new roof area. It attenuates the flow and velocity and volume up to a 50-year storm. We have a net decrease in stormwater runoff for all of those storm events on this project, which is something that we didn't have before. So those two utility systems are new. The proposed sanitary system would have a 1,200 or a 1,500 gallon oil water separator because of the kitchen use. Obviously, that has to be approved formally by the health department, but that is outside of the upland review area. The stormwater, the galleys for the stormwater are outside of the upland review area. As you can see, the line for the 150-foot line goes right through the middle of the building. It's an existing non-conforming use. Andre's construction was built straight up on the existing foundation, so there was no disturbance to the site from what he did. He just didn't get the right permits. And I think that's it in a nutshell. I'd be interested in any questions you might have. Do my best to answer them.
Thank you. Thanks for the additional updates. Any questions for the applicant?
No,
Hearing no questions, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just have a couple of quick questions.
Okay.
Do we know where the leaching field is?
Not at this time. It could either, it's so old, the property is very old, as you know. It could be a cistern type system, or it could be a leaching field. Regardless of whether it's a field or not, standard abandonment procedures allow for the leaching fields to remain, as long as you cut off the supply to the tank. So the tank is the main thing. What we're trying to do is abandon the soil line that comes from the building to the tank, and then fill the tank or crush the tank, whichever the commission sees as a better option.
Okay, so it's been some time since anything actually went into that leaching field, correct?
Right. As part of the procedure, the demolition permit, the abandonment permit that we have to get from the health department, the tank has to be pumped first anyway, so before you fill it.
Okay. Second question. You're going to be building on the same foundation, correct?
He has. That's what got him in trouble in the first place. So he basically took off the walls and rebuilt the walls in the same pad location. So it's already basically built. He's got the roof has been constructed, although the siding hasn't been put on. So he's desperately trying to keep this thing moving if he can.
Okay, so the foundation was actually exposed and then, I mean, obviously looked at?
Yes. Well, we
Yeah.
didn't we didn't look at it, but he built it on the foundation.
All right, well, I guess he wouldn't have done that if it weren't stable. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay.
A year.
Thank you, Mr. Munson. As this is an application this evening, we can request additional information, but we are receiving the application for the first time, so we cannot take any action unless there's a motion to schedule a site walk, which I don't believe is necessary in this case. Mr. Munson?
I was gonna ask that question actually, whether or not anybody thought we needed a sidewalk. I don't think so, particularly. Redoing an old piece of property, fixing it up, not really changing much, so.
going back to what it was. That was Nesbitt's store when I was a kid. That's a long time ago.
Everybody knows about this place.
Turn of the century, Jim,
Yeah, right.
last century, right?
Yeah, I don't see the need for a site walk either. So let's, unless there's any further discussion, let's take no action and move on to the next agenda item.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for your time this evening, Mr. Rich.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mary Rose, what's next on the agenda? Is it D?
No, the next agenda item is IWPA 22025, 69 Riverdale Road.
Right.
There we go. This is a proposal by the property owner to add a one-car detached garage approximately 30 feet from the wetland line in the south central shoreline watershed. I visited the site on yesterday, and my sidewalk memo was in the documents. The applicant is proposing a 20 by 15 detached garage with approximately 30 feet, within approximately 30 feet of the wetland on his property. Currently, the proposed garage area is partially grassed yard, a little bit of driveway, and it's grassed basically down to the Phragmites, which is the approximate wetland line. Contractor is aware material excavated for this footings for this structure may not be placed in the wetland. The location of the garage would be just shy of the end of this deck to approximately this area in the foreground here. Unfortunately, in the reverse picture, I missed the end of the deck, but the garage would go here. And we do have a site plan. This is from our GIS system showing the approximate wetland line in here. And we've got the existing deck. You see the driveway. So the garage is proposed here. And when this got scanned, unfortunately, it got scanned in the opposite direction. So in this direction, the street is here, and this is the proposed garage. I do not believe the applicant is with us this evening. No, they are not.
Pretty straightforward. Any questions, Mary Rose?
Yep. Someone have a question?
I was asking if anyone had a question for Mary Rose.
No.
Do we have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. Mr. Chairman, I move that the designated agent issue a jurisdictional ruling for pre-application IWPA 22-0025, 69 Riverdale Road for the construction of a 20 by 15 foot detached garage as shown on the site plan entitled Case Study Number 6, 69 Riverdale Road, Milford, Connecticut by AK Paramount Properties LLC. One sheet dated 3/10/22 in the file. This action will not have an impact or effect on the physical characteristics of the adjacent wetlands and water courses. That is my motion.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstains? Motion carries unanimously. Next up on the agenda, item E, consideration of the minutes from the previous meeting from the public hearing held on March 2nd. Everybody has received those. They were sent out in the mail. Do we have a motion to accept those as presented?
I'll make that motion.
The motion has been made. Do we have a second on the motion?
Second.
Second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstains? Motion carries unanimously. Mary Rose, turn it over to you for a brief staff report.
All right, as you can see, it's pool shed and deck season and garages, and a little bit of revisiting previous approvals. Our site size really haven't changed much. The owner of Tanglewood Circle came in and forgot he was supposed to go for a walk with us in the fall. Told him he now owes us another report for the spring, and he said he would call me sometime in May. We'll go for a walk. 30 Bridgeport Avenue is under construction. We don't have the as-built yet. Florence Avenue hasn't taken out their modified permit for that road extension. 17 Maddox has gotten their bond release, so that project is now closed. Merwin Avenue is ongoing. Pearl Street's ongoing. Terrace Road is just waiting for the bond release. The sidewalk's been done. West Rutland Road is ongoing. We had some complaints about dirt in the road with the last series of freeze thaws. The contractor has freshened up that anti-track pad and made sure his silt fencing are in good shape for the spring. Wheeler's Woods completed their project. They're waiting on their bond release. Milford Cemetery is still stable. They did their planting in the fall. Marsh Street was approved, I think, at the last meeting or 2 meetings ago. They've taken out their permit and they've started, their silt fencing is in. 690 New Haven Avenue. Some of you may remember that. That's from several years ago. It's a apartment project. that is taken out their permit. They're about to demolish the house. They have resurveyed the wetland line and they're supposed to be putting their silt fencing in this week. As you can see, we're getting more and more applications. The agency has had a history of, you review 100 or 150 feet of upland review area, but when things are out at as in the pool on Randy Road, the 88-foot mark, you're kind of like, you know what, if it's not a big deal, handle it in the office. In the last 2 years, we've done a lot of pools in the office just simply to get people moving because that was such a crush of things. Then historically, anything between 30 and 50, the chair and the compliance officer have reviewed. And then anything below 30 definitely goes to the agency for review. The state says that the agency should have everything to look at. But as you can see, this is just a small little piece of what we get in a week. And half of these came in on Monday and Tuesday. So I don't know what the agency's process would like to be. I've discussed with the state about items that are greater than 50 feet away from a wetland that seem de minimis. Having a report out in my section. So you've got a log of everything that's gone out of the office. We can call it back because you won't be more than 2 weeks away from it if you have an issue with it. I don't know what the agency's pleasure is on that, but I'd like some guidance on it.
Well, my feeling is continue like you used to do it.
Agreed.
Well, then we'll do a report out section. And anything that may be further out, but we're a little uncomfortable with, will still land on the agenda after review with chair.
We have complete confidence in your ability.
Well, that's great, but what happens when I fall off the planet? You need a fallback situation.
You plan on doing that in the near future?
No, I did that last year. I'm going to keep out of that this year.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions for me?
No?
No, except I just I just hit something on my computer and I can't see anybody anymore.
We can see you fine and we can hear you.
We can still see and hear you.
Okay.
And we've just got the Brady Bunch squares up.
Okay, and I apologize for not printing the motions. I printed the agenda, not the motions.
No worries.
No problem. All right, moving on to the chair's report. The next meeting will be our regular meeting scheduled for April 6th via Zoom. Please let the office know if you're unable to attend for any reason. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
You have it.
Motion to adjourn.
And
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Good
Thank
night.
you, everyone.
Have a
night.
great night.
Night.
Bye.
Good night.
Leslie, we're all set. Thank you.